Good afternoon, everyone. When the ingredients and the recipes exercise together, the result is incredible. This is how IQAC disseminate its activities. Without compromise in quality and quantity, IQAC envisages and materializes its proposed goals. This webinar serves as a nutritional diet for the ongoing online classes. Today, IQAC is so happy to organize this national webinar on online teaching. Let's start the webinar with a silent prayer. Quality is the watchword of our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Sheena Savior. She's all geared up to revamp the online teaching strategy. She is the brain behind this webinar. So I invite Dr. Sheena Savior to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Sonia. Good afternoon, all. Respected Principal, Dr. Sister Gigi Jonama Xavier, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas, Vice Principal, Dr. Sister Stella, and dear participants. The Internal Quality Assurance Cell of St. Xavier's College for Women, Aluva, is really honored to have with us the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University, Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas. Today, he will give us an insight into the transformation of teaching and learning process during this period of COVID-19. We are entering a new phase in our life where technology may be the platform for any system to function. Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas is an expert to give us advices to take up our profession blending with technology. With long experience in teaching, research, and administration, the Honorable Vice Chancellor is the best person to motivate the teaching community for this much needed change. I am sure all the participants will be having a unique experience in hearing to Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas. Respected sir, on behalf of the management, principal, and faculty members of St. Xavier's College and the participants of this webinar, I cordially welcome you to this online gathering. Dr. Sister Gigi Jonama Xavier, our beloved principal, is the source of inspiration for all the endeavors taken up by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell. Hearty welcome to you, sister.
Thank you, Sheena.
Dr. Sister Stella, Vice Principal and Assistant Professor of Department of Chemistry, was quite instrumental in getting Honorable Vice Chancellor as our resource person today. Hearty welcome to you, sister. I extend a most cordial welcome to all the participants of this webinar. Thank you all.
Reverend Dr. Sister Gigi Joanna Savior is our principal, is at the helm of all our ventures. Potential learning methodologies like online teaching have stolen the classroom ambience. Since it is the need of the hour, she is constantly insisting on rejuvenating online teaching skills. This webinar is an acknowledgement of her commitment and towards teaching, learning fraternity. I welcome our beloved principal for the presidential address.
Thank you, Sonia. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas, and dear participants. The COVID pandemic in its present situation has completely disturbed our process of normal education. The prevailing total lockdown has now compelled everyone to pursue teaching and learning process through available online platforms. In St. Xavier's, our vision is to support the student community through a wide spectrum of online activity. Strategic planning, IQAC initiatives, staff training, and collaborative ventures are some of the areas where we have utilized online platform. The IQAC of this institution extended its support by guiding various components of the institution to initiate their own qualitative activities. Today's webinar on online teaching is also one such initiative catering to the present day needs. We are extremely honored to have our own Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas, as the resource person. As we all know, His leadership in the progressive field of academic is highly appreciated. He is a non-expert in research and is also a visionary to lead all the institutions of Mahatma Gandhi University to a respectable status. He takes personal interest in motivating academic institutions to excel in NIRF ranking, research, and student achievements. I hope all the participants will have a fruitful interactive session with our esteemed resource person. May God bless you all. Thank you.
COVID-19 has rescheduled our teaching technique. We have already switched to online teaching. In the wake of new educational policy norms and sweeping renovations yet to witness in the educational sector, we are fortunate enough to have with us an eminent academician, excellent administrator, and above all, a passionate teacher, all blended together in Professor Dr. Sabu Thomas, Vice Chancellor, MG University. The value of investment in education is what sums up his testimonials. To read out his academic credentials seems out of place, for we are not strangers to it. On behalf of the management, IQSC, and the entire Severian family, welcome you, sir, to this webinar. Over to you, sir.
So the title of my talk, I made a little bit of modification, Impact of COVID-19 on Education, New Challenges and Opportunities. So I made a sort of small change in the title because we are all affected by COVID-19. Because of COVID-19, we thought of, organizing our lectures, classes, the whole education process through online. When you look at my first slide, you can see how COVID-19 affected the whole world. I hope you can all see the second slide, right? On the right-hand side of the second slide, on the left-hand side, you see the global closure of schools, where you can see Africa, India, South America, China, complete school closure. But if you look at United States, localized school closures. And there are very few places in the world where schools are opened. And you can also see some region where you have no data. Look at the right-hand side. You can see the number of people placed under lockdown because the closure. You see, India is number one, 1,380 million people under lockdown. Followed by China, followed by United States, Bangladesh, you can see a series of countries. So the whole world is, the idea of the slide is the whole world is really affected. Next slide, please. This is again a very interesting slide. COVID-19 staggering impact on global education. You can see this is from UNESCO source. I have data on February and March to give you some understanding how number of learners are impacted by the pandemic. 1.38 billion people are affected because of school closures. The data March 23rd, you can see 1.38 billion. Look at the right-hand side. The millions of kids out of school, the highest in China. 233 million kids are out of school in China. We don't have the data of India, Japan, Iran, Italy, Iraq. This is to show you the whole education scenario is affected by COVID-19. Next slide, please. This slide shows how COVID-19 affect the education scenario. Kindergartens are closed. Children sit at home and they look everything to the TV. School, colleges, universities are closed. Examinations have been postponed. Examinations have been rescheduled. MGU had to reschedule lots of examinations. Luckily, we have completed the last semester examination of master and bachelor's program. There was complete disruption of education system. I wanted to show you something the dynamics of the education system. Probably all of you know the dynamics. If you trace the history of the education system, we started with ancient Gurukula system. India had a fantastic Gurukula system. If you look at the Gurukula system, we have a master and a few students. The students used to live with the master, support the master, listen to him. This is a fantastic education process. University system evolved from this. University system, we have a large number of students. Again, if you look at the dynamics, you can see distance mode education, where quite a large number of students can attend. You can see our, Indira Gandhi Open University, they have a fantastic distance mode education. And now, we have lots of program, online program. There are lots of advantages for online program. This is to show you how the different education process have evolved over a period of time. Next slide, please. Online mode has lots of applications. You can do complete admission to colleges and universities through online mode. If you look at some of the universities in North America, they are open around the year. Anytime you can apply. They have put a cut-off date. Bachelor's program, master program, they can apply around the year. Anytime you can apply, but they have a cut-off date for every year. MG is going to do that. We are going to open our admission all the time, then put a cut-off date. Online entrance examination. Many universities have adopted online entrance examination, online valuation process, online lecture series, online examination system. Things could be made much faster if you go for an online process. Next slide, please. I'm going to tell you various possibilities. During COVID time, I would recommend completely online mode. Online mode of lecturing, online mode of evaluation process, online mode of admission process, everything should be online. You shouldn't allow the students to come to the campus. Then you cannot keep the principles of distancing, physical distancing. We can also have online short-term courses. MG is going to start a large number of online short-term courses, even during COVID or even after COVID. This is one of our strategies we have planned. We have recently started a directorate of online courses. So we are going to offer you large number of online courses, even after COVID. We also have a strategy of blended mode of teaching and learning process. 70% sort of offline mode and 30% online mode. And we are going to give, maybe after COVID, we are going to give the students so that they can choose, give freedom to the students, they can choose 30% of their courses online mode offered by different universities. A student in MGU doing an MA economics or MA in anthropology can do a few courses online with London School of Economics, if there's an agreement. So that provides lots of possibilities. Then the student can say, I have an MA from MGU, but I've taken 10 credits from London School of Economics. So that sort of possibilities we are going to give the students. Attending courses of international foreign universities. And we are also exploring the possibility of joint degree. We have signed an agreement with Kassel University now, and we are going to start joint degree with Kassel University. MGU and University of Kassel in Germany, we are joining together to offer joint degree program. So online program offers lots and lots of possibilities. One of the important points I wanted to tell you the IQAC, I want to tell you the management, I want to tell you the principle is you have to really train the faculty members. You also have to give some training to the students. Therefore, education technology becomes the biggest intermediary between teaching and learning process. I call EduTech. Academics should be trained how to make excellent digital content. Otherwise, students will say that, oh, online courses are boring. You know, recently I've seen a study. Majority of the students in the study said online courses are very boring. You know why? The reason is very simple, because many teachers try to just shift to online using their digital content based on offline. So that's really a bad idea. I made a sentence here: blind replication of an online class into online will be a bad idea. So teachers have to make excellent digital content. Otherwise, online courses will be extremely boring. You have to engage the students. You have to make the teaching process very interesting. So I request the management, I request the IQAC, you give excellent training to the academics. And you have to teach them the science of digital learning. Otherwise, everything will be a failure. Next slide, please. Virtual classroom program. See, conduct online classes. Faculty can take online classes. Students can save it. IQAC can probably record all the lectures, and then you upload in your website. So students can, anytime students can download it. And faculty members become more and more competitive, because their lectures are going to be saved, their lectures are going to be used by the students again and again. So I made a statement called reusability of lectures. And there are lots of possibility of inter-trans and cross-disciplinary approach. You can give lots of courses. You know, I request the management to give lots of elective courses. Credit transfer is possible. Suppose a student is taking a course from UMass, University of Massachusetts. The credit could be transferred. So MGU Syndicate has really approved the credit transfer process. If you take a course from SWAYAM platform from UGC, the credit could be transferred. The students are given lots of freedom to select courses offered by other universities. That is why MGU is going to follow a 70:30 mode. 70% the faculty will teach, and 30% the students can choose. It could be from SWAYAM platform of UGC, or it could be from anywhere in the world where universities are within a ranking of something like 500 ranking. Next slide, please. You can also make beautiful mobile apps. That's why I made a slide called Learning Through Mobile Apps. We are going to do that in MGU. Semester-based mobile app platform, subject-wise mobile app, internal test through mobile app. You know, mobiles are quite cheap. Students can easily afford a mobile. Teachers can correct assignments through mobile app. So there are lots of applications if you make mobile apps. Next slide, please. I already mentioned, if you have digital learning process, online teaching learning process, you can think of joint degree program. This year, MGU is going to start a joint degree program between CUSAT, MGU, University of Kerala, and University of Calicut. We are going to discuss. We are going to start a few courses. For example, a course on MTech on nanoscience and nanotechnology. A few semesters, maybe a couple of semesters will be in one university. A couple of courses could be given by University of Calicut. So students are going to share courses offered by experts from different universities. And finally, we will give a joint degree. This we are going to start this academic year. And the system could be completely outcome-based. As I mentioned earlier, 70% core could be offline and 30% elective could be online. Students can take large number of elective courses. We are going to do the faculty recruitment through online process. Industrial experts now, many industrial experts interact with the MGU faculty and students through online. I remember when I was a student at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, we had a course on adhesives and adhesion. It was given by an industrial expert. He, in fact, came to IIT Kharagpur and gave a lecture, lecturing for a week. He gave a foundation course, fantastic lectures. Now the expert need not come to the campus. He or she can actually sit in their office in Delhi or Mumbai or Calcutta and give a lecture. So industrial experts can give lots of lectures online. So that will give lots of confidence for the students. So MGU is going to start lots of joint degree program in the coming academic year. Next slide, please. Online use of library. Last week I had a discussion with the Higher Education Council. I told the council Vice Chairman Professor Rajan Kurikal, all the libraries of universities in Kerala should be open to the students. A student from Kannur should be able to use the library of MGU. The MGU students should be able to use the library of Kerala University. So we are going to open the library facilities to the student community through online. Journals could be given the students online. So this we are going to start this academic year. Expensive journals all universities cannot buy. So we have made a request to Higher Education Council. You subscribe all the journals and then give access to all the universities through online. Access to thesis online. There are lots of possibilities of sharing the facilities of libraries to all the colleges, government colleges, self-financing colleges, affiliated other colleges. So all the students can make use of the library facilities very effectively through online platform. Next slide, please. Virtual laboratories. I request the teachers of chemistry, physics, biological sciences, computer science to register the MHRD website. The students should see the virtual labs first. Then they go to the laboratory for actual experiments. I can share you a wonderful experience I had when I went to US as a Fulbright fellow. We went to Washington University Hospital. That's one of the big universities in the capital of US. And we found that all the doctors and nurses, they are given online training on all laboratories. All practicals they have given online training. I've seen a nursing student attending online experiment on heart attack. Delivery of, they take online and then they go to real experiment. So this has to be adopted in our universities. If you look at the website of MHRD, in support of Amrita University, a large number of experiments in biological sciences, chemical sciences, physical sciences, computer sciences, in online. Some of the expensive instruments like transmission electron microscopy, synchrotron measurements, you can watch it online. So I request the teachers and students, make use of the online facilities and then you do the real experiments in the laboratory. Next slide, please. Continuous evaluation process. We have adopted this in our campus, MGU campus. I told the faculty members, no more examination for the laboratories. Chemistry, physics, biological sciences, computer sciences, environmental sciences, all labs, we have taken a decision that the students should be evaluated on a daily, continuous basis. When you do a practical, chemistry practical, you get a ranking, A or B or C grade. And then at the end of the semester, you look at all the grades you got. We are not going for an examination at the end. So this we are going to implement in colleges also. Continuous daily evaluation of experiments. Next one, please. Online PhD defense. We have made it completely online. I remember a student from MGU was in Canada during pandemic time. We have given permission. So the student sitting in Canada and the teacher sitting in IIT, examiner was in IIT, and our supervisor was in MGU. So we should take an online PhD web. So we have made all the PhD thesis now online during pandemic time. Jury can join from the respective places. Audience can be invited. Very interactive question answer session. Degree can be awarded virtually. So we are using all the facilities for Viva. MPhil Viva we have made online. Doctoral committee for PhD program we have made online. Next slide, please. I wanted to emphasize one important point. When you go for online, we also have to see the principles of inclusiveness, the principles of social justice. That has to be served. You all know about the digital divide. There are lots of students who are not able to afford a computer. There are lots of students who are not able to afford good connectivity. There are lots of students, they cannot afford a good smartphone. In such cases, we have made a request to the government of Kerala, you have to have some schemes to support the students. Provide them free internet connection. Or the government has to talk to some of the internet agencies to provide them some sort of support. Or interest-free loan for students to buy laptop, smartphones. So this is extremely important. We have to really support marginalized students who are not able to have laptop, smartphones, etc. So this point has to be taken care of. Otherwise, online education will not be successful. Next slide, please. There are a lot of issues for online education. One of the major issues is social isolation. The students are isolated, students sit in their, probably in their home or maybe in the hostel. Faculty members are confined in their faculty room, or they are at home. The students will not see their friends. They lose the campus life. There are lots of issues. I don't say that it is really a substitute. I would say online learning is a sort of supporting system. Therefore, I have requested all the MGU teachers, when you give 1 hour lecturing, you lecture 45 minutes by making good digital content, and 15 minutes you chat with the students, talk to the students, and promote student-student discussion, promote peer-peer group assignments, and teachers have to interact with their friends. So this has to be taken care of. Otherwise, you cannot solve the issue of social isolation process. A student always learn a lot of things from the campus, from their friends. So this is really missing in online education. So we have to tackle that. And there's a big role the teachers have to play. They have to really introduce lots of peer-peer group discussion, group assignment. Then they discuss, they do assignment, so they make lots of friendship. Next one, please. Another issue of e-learning was face-to-face interaction is lacking. Student feedback is limited. Therefore, I request all the teachers, if you are teaching for 1 hour, you teach only for 45 minutes. And 15 minutes you promote lots of discussion, video chatting. Your lecture should be a sort of dialogue rather than a monologue. Sometimes you have to flip the class. You ask the students to take the class and you be in the back bench. And such sort of things have to be arranged. You conduct some sort of homework in the class. So that is what is flipping, inverting the classroom. So you have to really adopt new technologies. That is why I said EduTech is very, very important to make the online classes more vibrant, more interesting. Next slide, please. I also want to emphasize the fact that e-learning may not be possible in all subjects. A colleague of mine, he said he is completely handling theory classes, so he said e-learning is difficult. There could be problem, but faculty members have to come out with new methodologies, how to handle such complicated subjects through online. They may have to spend more time to make the subject more interesting, understandable for the students. Next one, please. Another issue of e-learning is the students are not able to communicate well. Lack of communication. You know, I have seen a sort of study recently about issues learning. And one of the comments made by students that they are not able to communicate with the teachers. Again, I request the teachers to introduce that. How do you do it? You teach for 45 minutes and 15 minutes, you generate lots of communication. You talk to the students. You flip the classroom, you have a lot of video chatting. This is the only way we can solve this. Next one, please. Thank you so much. And this is the summary of my lecture. So I request all the teachers, IQAC, management, you all work as a team so that the teachers make really excellent digital content. Therefore, the teaching becomes more interesting. And the students say, oh, this is a wonderful class. So the ball is always with teachers' court, the teachers' court. So I also request the management to give excellent training for the students. So thank you so much, and I'm happy to have some questions.
Thank you, sir. The session is now open to participants. Participants can now post your queries in the chat box.
Yes, there is a question from Hari Prasad.
Yes.
So what about the labs?
Laboratories?
Yes.
Labs?
Yes, sir.
You know, with regard to lab, my request to all the teachers and students is the following. All of you should register at the MHRD website. MHRD has made fantastic virtual labs in biological sciences. It's free in biological sciences, in chemical sciences, in physical sciences, in computer sciences. Please see the lab. Students can, chemistry students can do. I have registered by myself, and I've seen fantastic chemistry laboratories. You know, all the BSc lab experiments you can see, MSc lab experiments you can see. That's a fantastic experience. And then the students can do some selected experiments in the real laboratory. So I request everyone to register at the MHRD website and see this. That's my answer.
There is another question from Vail Murugan, sir. Sir,
Yes.
can you elaborate on the mobile app for subject-wise?
See, mobile apps could be made for lots of applications. You know, these mobile apps could be easily made by your software engineers. Mobile app for, lecture notes could be given by mobile apps. The examination could be conducted through mobile apps. So mobile apps have to be made by a software engineer. We are going to do that and give the students. A very simple process. It's very convenient for the students. Assignment could be given to mobile apps. So if you have a good software engineer, you can easily do this.
There is another
Absolutely.
question. How to motivate our students to study for online teaching method?
My request to the teachers is you have to really encourage them. Teachers have to motivate them. Teachers have to make, as I mentioned earlier, good digital content. Teachers have to chat with them. When I give a lecture, I will speak only 45 minutes. 15-20 minutes I'll ask questions to everyone. And there is always a competitive spirit among all my students. I said, whoever is asking more questions, you will get more points. And the class was so vibrant. I really enjoy taking classes online. I'm the vice chancellor, whenever free time, immediately I call my students, you have a class online, all the students come in, and then I take a class. So we can manage your timing very effectively. You see, I used to travel quite a lot in giving PhD examinations, giving lectures. Now I give all my lectures sitting in my room. I give so many lectures abroad. Otherwise I have to travel, find time. It's very expensive. So this is quite advantageous. So you have to really, encourage the students. But for that, you have to make good digital content, interesting content. You have to find time to chat with them. You have to promote peer-to-peer discussion. So these are extremely important. So I would say the teachers have to play a very, very big role. And management have to find time and some funding to train them. See, MGU, what we have done is we have actually modified the Moodle platform, customized the Moodle platform, and we have training for the teachers.
Next question, is it possible to increase the cognitive level of students by this e-learning? And is yes, then how?
Of course. See, cognitive level of the brilliance of understanding, the cognitive level could be, I would say this is again to be initiated by the faculty member. You see, my good friend in University of Strasbourg, all his examinations are online. But he always sets in thought-provoking questions. His all examinations are with text, but very, very thought-provoking questions. Again, I would say this is a major role of faculty members. Faculty members have to initiate this. You should adopt all sorts of new techniques. Examination with text, examination online, you submit your assignments online. A student of mine, actually, he is a faculty in US. He told me that he actually conduct all his examination online, all his assignment online. So we have to slowly move into that direction. I would say every teacher has to, 70% sort of offline mode, 30% online. And the students have to be given all sorts of exposures. Next question, please.
Sir, conditions of hands-on practical sessions for life science students has some constraints. The virtual lab at the MHRD site you have mentioned, such facilities pertaining to our syllabi, especially for botany, are totally lacking.
Which courses, BSc level or MSc level?
That they have not mentioned. Dr. Preeta, please unmute and speak.
Yeah, Dr. Preeta, you can do, see, MHRD has made lots of programs in chemistry, in biological sciences. If you make requests, they will also make, this sort of lessons, for your classes. So they are really interested getting response from teachers. And your college also can think of, if you're having good facility, your college also can think of taking some, virtual laboratory exercises and putting in your website. And there are lots of other websites worldwide. You can see lots of experiments. Students can see. You look at any chemical reaction, you can see in YouTube. Most of the reactions you can see in the YouTube. Undergraduate and graduate, laboratory exercises.
Next question is, the use of mobile phones in the campus by students was banned, but after COVID, what will be the university decision?
I would say the mobile phones, the students should be able to utilize mobile phones for constructive purposes. See, I have a recommendation to students, suggestion students, don't use mobile phones for non-constructive purposes. It's a message. Don't waste your time chatting. You chat for constructive purposes. That's extremely important. Don't waste your time. Digital technology has to be utilized for constructive purposes, not for destructive purposes. Every technology has, the positive and negative side. So my request with my students is please use it for constructive, for the positive side. That is my message. So you have to really train them, advocate them to use digital technology for constructive purposes. Educate them. That's the only the way we can change the attitude of the students. I know lots of students play with the internet, but that's also quite dangerous. Use it for constructive purposes.
Next question. In Jammu, network is not working properly. We make video lectures and upload it in YouTube and then share link with students. Is it good way of teaching in this situation?
Good way. You see, there are different ways. MGU students from Idukki region, students from hilly terrains, they are not able to access, they are not able to get connectivity. So what we do is, we save our lecture, send the link, put in the YouTube and send the link. They can see it.
Next question is, students are not ready to show even their face when the teacher asks to do it. How can then be a dialogue or interaction?
I think this is quite easy. Once they are in the internet, the teacher can interact with them. I don't see any reason, it's quite easy. Most of the students are excited if there is connectivity. I don't see any reason for that. You have to promote them. You have to make them enthusiastic.
Next question is, even some faculty don't have enough knowledge regarding information technology skills. How to conduct online sessions, and also some students lack knowledge of how to adapt to the online platform.
Yes, my answer is the IQAC, the management have to do a very big role. IQAC MGU has given training for the faculty members how to use Moodle. Moodle has lots of facilities. So we have trained them. So I request every management under the leadership of IQAC should train the teachers and should give also the students how to utilize these facilities.
Next question is, how can we attend to weak students via online?
Weak students?
Via online.
You see, for weak students, my recommendation to my faculty members, you find time with them. You have to really interact with them separately. There are a lot of students, these students are not the same IQ level. They're all different levels. So the faculty members have to find some time to have exclusive interaction with them. The faculty will understand. Once they conduct a test, they will be able to understand, oh, this student is not able to follow me. Then the faculty should arrange a special video session with the students. This is the only way we can tackle this.
Next question is, how can poor and needy students access the online mode of teaching in India?
This is the only way is, I would say, we have to get support from the government. The school management can support the students. MGU actually did a good job. We tried to support the students. I told the department head, we have some funding within the department, the department development fund. I said, you can make use of this grant to support the students who are not able to have internet connectivity, the students who are not able to have a mobile connection. So I told our faculty members, make use of the department development fund to support the students.
Next question.
Generate some funding. You can also talk to some of the companies. Probably you know about the corporate social responsibility funding. Companies are very happy to support. Mobile phone companies, it could be a sort of advertisement for them. They will give sometimes free connectivity to the students who are not able to afford. So management can do a lot of things. make use of the corporate social responsibility funding. Many companies are really interested to support colleges.
Next question. Whether online teaching is satisfactory way of teaching?
Of course, I would say it's of course, provided the teachers take the challenge. A blind replication of offline into online will be failure. You have to make really very good digital content. Then only you can engage the students. The students say, oh, that's a fantastic lecture. I want to attend again.
Next question is, what are the changes implemented for PG course?
PG course?
Yes, sir.
You know, the changes what I said already, every faculty member, even after COVID, 70% offline and 30% online. If you're giving a course, thermodynamics, see that you are giving 70% offline and 30% you give online. And the students get some good training. And the innovations we are going to do in the PG program is, we are going to start new PG program in the campus. Mahatma Gandhi University is starting a lot of integrated program. You must have seen in the newspaper. We are starting BAMA integrated program. We are starting a new specialized program. We are promoting 4 years of bachelor's program, triple main program. There are a lot of innovations we have proposed to the government.
Online versus offline teaching methodology, kindly mention in the future perspective.
I would say there are lots of applications for offline and online. You see, dual degree could be given. 2 universities can give degrees together. I give an example for you. An MGU student in economics, an MGU student, if he or she is taking courses from London School of Economics, provided there's an agreement, then the credit could be transferred. There are lots of possibilities. I think we should make use of all these possibilities. And the students can attend lectures given by some of the very leading professors across the globe, different universities. MGU said universities within 500 rank, world ranking, and students can take courses of such faculties, provided it is free. Several universities give free courses. The students can take these courses and credit could be transferred. So all these possibilities should be explored.
Next question is, how to handle disabled students?
Pardon?
How to handle disabled students?
Disabled students, this is also very important. Disabled students are very much affected by COVID. So disabled students, I would always say inclusive policy. Disabled students and normal students, they should sit together. I always recommend inclusiveness. And the faculty members should give more time for the, differentially abled or, such students. Faculty should give more care, more attention for such students. There are lots of new education technology for the differentially abled students. Such technologies have to be utilized to support them. Mahatma Gandhi University has a separate department. Probably you know that we have a School of Behavioral Sciences. So we have lots of programs for such students.
Can virtual classes really replace the physical classroom post-COVID-19 scenario?
I would say the online classes is a sort of support system. We cannot replace face-to-face interaction. At the same time, I have a request to all the teachers. You must give exposure to the students to new technologies. That's why I said 70 offline, 30% online. Then students have got the feeling of everything. So I request the faculty members, you go for a blended mode of teaching process, evaluation process. So online is not a substitute for offline face-to-face.
Next question. In physics experiment, there are some experiments which can't be simulated. So is it good to students to test them on the basis of theoretical?
There are lots of experiments you cannot simulate. Such experiments you can perform in the laboratory keeping, the physical distancing. You cannot simulate everything. You see, my recommendation, if you look at education system, especially medical education in United States and Europe, you know what they do? They do a lot of theory and simulation first. Then they go to the real experiments. Then it is extremely good. So this could be a part of every part of the education, laboratory exercises. You do the theory and modeling simulation first. You go to the simulation laboratory, see everything, and then you go and do the real experiments. It's easy for the students. See, every college, probably your college in Alway, you should think of developing a simulation laboratory. Physical sciences, chemical sciences, biological sciences. This will be extremely beneficial for the faculty and students.
Next question, how to help the needy children?
As I already told you, for needy children, you have to come out with some support system. It could be through the government, it could be from philanthropists, it could be from through some industries. So we have to make some sort of support system for them.
Next question is, how to handle students' project and internship in this pandemic situation?
You see, some of the things you can do online, especially theory, modeling, and simulation, you can do online. And real experiments. You see, for chemistry, for biological sciences, where students have to really do experiments. Such things are not possible now. So either you wait for, till the COVID is over. Otherwise, you find some methodologies. This could be done in your college, keeping physical distancing and everything. That's the only possibility. You see, some of the real exercises, project work, the students have to really do in the laboratory, especially project. In such cases, what you can do is you can have a group work, keeping social, physical distancing, or you have to do some theory, modeling, and simulation. This is the only way we can tackle.
There are a lot more questions, but due to time constraints, we will take one more question and then conclude.
Thank you.
What about the health issues arising due to the long-term use of these digital platforms? How can we overcome that?
You see, my suggestion is online is not a substitute for offline. You can adopt 100% online during COVID. And I would say students should not be given not more than 3-4 hours of lecturing. You cannot sit at the computer all the time. It will affect their eyesight. It's not good for health. They also find time for exercise, for doing some, going to gym. They should not be given lots of work in the computer. That's not good for health. It's a very important point. So we can do probably during the COVID time, maybe 4 or 5 hours of lecturing or 4 hours of lecturing. But after COVID, I would say a 70-30 blended model could be the best. I really give importance that this is not good for health, sitting all the time in the computer. But you have to really find time to do some exercise, find time to play. Very important. I agree with you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Aparna Lakshmanan, Joint Coordinator of this webinar, is always a step ahead of any new endeavors. I welcome Dr. Aparna Lakshmanan to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, all. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. On behalf of Internal Quality Assurance Cell, St. Xavier's College for Women, Aluva, let me express my sincere gratitude to all who are behind the success of today's webinar. Our dear principal, Dr. Sister Gigi Jonama Xavier, is the master brain behind this webinar. The management of St. Xavier's College for Women Alva, and in particular our principal and vice principal, are very keen to ensure that our faculty and students always stand up in every changing scenario. The 1 week FDP DTeach offered by the management to the faculty is a very good example for the same, which our dear VC was also mentioning during his lecture. Dear sister, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for being a good leader for our institution. The presence and motivating words of Professor Sabu Thomas, Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University, was the major attraction of today's webinar. As all of us know, he is a busy man with a lot of administrative and academic duties and a most thought out resource person. Despite of his busy schedule, he was willing to spend his valuable 1 to 1.5 hours for us on behalf of IQAC, management, principal, and faculty of St. Xavier's College for Women Alva, and all the delegates present here. I thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very nice to interact with you and wish you good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thanks are also due to Dr. Sister Stella, our Vice Principal, for all her efforts to get the consent of our resource person for today's webinar. Thank you, sister. I also thank Dr. Sheena Xavier, IQAC coordinator and convener of today's webinar, for all her selfless efforts in organizing today's program. Thank you, ma'am. Let me also thank all the faculty members and in particular IQAC members of St. Xavier's College for Women Alva for their support and prayers. We had more than 450 registrations for today's webinar. What the delegates get is the success of a program. It is your presence that made this webinar meaningful. On behalf of the organizing committee, I thank all the delegates for their presence and cooperation throughout the webinar. Once again, thanking each and every one of you, I conclude. Thank you.